What is up, everybody? Sven Diesel here. I've had a lot of questions lately about bobbins and what I do to organize thread, so I thought I'd just dive in and do a little bit of a YouTube video real fast on it. I'm not going to use this video to talk about deniers or aughts and how to measure your thread and which thread I prefer and which is best for each type of streamer, although I'll get a little bit into that as we dive in, because there's a reason why I've selected a bobbin that fits each different thread that I prefer. Some threads work in any bobbin, but I have a preference for a few reasons. So let's just dive in. First off, I like to have a bobbin, and I like to have them always loaded. So you can see right here, I've got the loon ergo bobbin, and what I have in here is I have white and black. If I was going to start with collecting bobbins, I would make sure that first I have white and black in the most popular ones that I like. And so what I've done is I don't go out and buy 10 or 15 bobbins of each style. I end up trying them out and seeing which one I prefer, and then use it with a bunch of different threads, and then we go from there. So let me first start with our heaviest. This here is a I believe this is nano silk in a 3/0, which would be similar to like a 210 denier. It's GSP. The reason I like to put these heavier threads into a ergo bobbin is, one, this is very solid. It cranks when I'm cranking like deer hair, for example. It seems to just feel really solid. Whereas if I was using this little shorty here, I just don't feel it is as durable, and I don't feel like I can really crank on that deer hair or whatever we're securing to the hook shank. And so for my larger threads, I like to use this bobbin here. Now for my midges and smaller flies, I really have kind of gotten addicted to this shorty right bobbin. One, because you can adjust the tension. I would argue that this right bobbin is one of my more favorite because it's in the mid-price range, but also it allows you to do the tension. It comes in a few different models. Let me see if I have one here. So there's the half hitch right there, and I think I've got a regular standard right there. So you can see it comes in a few different models, and one of the more favorite is the Surmag one. So you can see I've tried them all out. So when I'm doing nymphs or smaller threads, I like to have white and black in this shorty, and that seems to be pretty effective for my nymphs. So basically what I've figured out is anytime I'm looking and I want to change a thread, or I don't know what I'm going to tie, if I grab an ergo bobbin, I know it's a heavier thread. If I grab a shorty, I know it's an 18/0 or a 30 denier. And so I know that it's going to be for nymphs. Now the way I've organized these are, this is more for my 6/0. I like to use the Surmag for a 6/0, which would be similar to, I believe, 140 denier. And so I like to use that, so I know that when I grab this, it's not quite as heavy as the loon, but I know that it is going to be nice and durable. I love how long this is, and so this is what I use for my, I guess you'd call it medium thick thread. So anytime I grab a Surmag, I know that whatever thread on there is basically a 140 denier or 6/0. So for my 8/0 or which would be the equivalent of 70 denier, I've kind of incorporated a lot of bobbins I've tried over the years, because I find that most threads, whether it's GSP, waxed, or a regular thread, work in it. And so most of my regular bobbins are just going to be in here. I've got some different ones I've tried over the years. CNFs. I got the new Raid Zap bobbin in here, loaded. And so the key is when I'm organizing bobbins, I hate changing my thread. So when I first started, I had white and black in each bobbin, and that way I knew I had each basis covered. I'm not always swapping threads. Now on my nymphs, so for example in the shorty version, I do a lot of hotspot colors. So I also have this always loaded in a pink, a hot pink, for some nymph colors, purple, red, a few others that seem to be something that I'm always just using for those nymphs, just putting a collar on. And in contrast, I do a lot of olive and chartreuse, kind of bigger buggers. So I've got that already loaded with some chartreuse, and also in the heavier. So if I'm doing like a big game changer, I've got that already loaded. So the way that I have organized my thread is by bobbins. I'm not always changing out to waste time at the vise. When I'm tying, I want to just get that fly done. And so over time, I've kind of collected a few different bobbins to do so. And so every time I grab this bobbin, I know it's a heavier thread. And then every time I grab this bobbin, I know it's for nymphs or dries or delicate small flies. But the key is you don't need to go overboard. You don't need a ton of bobbins. You can just swap out your thread. It's pretty easy. There's, you know, if you can't, you know, suck it through like that, you can always get like a bobbin threader. Some of these bobbins come with them. And so this is not necessary. It's just a tying tip that has saved me a little bit of time, so I'm not always guessing the thread, because on these right bobbins, for example, you can't see the thread easily. I can see right here on this that that's a 12-aught nano silk. But the key is just do what you want or to feel comfortable with. This is something that's worked well for me. And then the key is to have them somewhere where you can store them. I use this tool caddy here, and you can see how they progress. So I know in the middle here are my other bobbins that have the medium-sized threads, and over here are my large ones, and over here, of course, are my shorties. So that's a little tying tip from me to you. Use it if you want. Like I said, these are just my personal preference. The key when selecting any bobbin is how it feels for you when you're tying, and also how the thread goes through those bobbins. And that's something that you'll feel as you try different threads or nano silks or GSP, and you'll be able to decide for yourself if this method is something that might benefit you, or whether it won't benefit you at all, and just keep changing your thread. That's fine with me. But anyway, thanks for watching, and hope it helps with your tying.